The sequel to Breath of the Wild was announced almost 2 years ago now, and there have been tons of videos made about it. Officially though, we really don't know much about it. So today I want to talk about 3 theories that I have for major gameplay elements that we'll see in Breath of the Wild 2. Hello there everybody, I'm Nintera and I make new Legend of Zelda content every single Wednesday, so if you want to be notified when those get uploaded, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. With that, let's get into the video. My first theory is that we're going to be playing as Zelda, at least partly. I talked a little bit about playing Zelda in a Legend of Zelda game in this video that I'll link up here, so check that out if you want to hear more about it. I'll try not to repeat myself too much in this one. Before Breath of the Wild was released, Eiji Aonuma confirmed that the team working on Breath of the Wild thought about making Zelda the main playable character in that game. They ultimately decided that it didn't really make sense for that game, but they've had a few years to think it over and figure out how to make it work for this one. In the teaser for the game, we see Link and Zelda seemingly get separated while exploring the caves deep beneath Hyrule Castle. I think that we might be switching between playing as Link and playing as Zelda and seeing how both of them make their way through the caves. I think that we'll be able to play as Link, fulfilling his normal role of fighting and using his strength to solve puzzles and get out of tough situations. And then we'll be playing as Zelda, and she will be using her intelligence and spiritual powers to solve problems in her own way. At this point, we know that Zelda has awoken very powerful spiritual abilities, and she was also able to keep Calamity Ganon at bay for over 100 years while she waited for Link to wake up from his long sleep and then make his way to her. So clearly Zelda would be able to hold her own down here in the caves, and I think it would be a really cool way to kind of spice up our normal gameplay with playing traditional Zelda style as Link, and then also playing with a whole different set of abilities as Zelda. My second theory for the sequel to Breath of the Wild is that we'll see traditional Zelda dungeons underground. Now, to be totally honest, I got this idea from a comment left on a different video of mine, and I thought it was just the coolest idea, so I wanted to talk about it here. As we all know, Breath of the Wild 2 is going to take place in the same world as its predecessor, and we've already explored that world pretty thoroughly at this point. So what is there left to explore? Assuming that we will have more traditional Breath of the Wild dungeons, and check out this video up here for my theory on why we will, I think that there's a really good chance that these dungeons will be underground. Breath of the Wild takes place thousands and thousands of years after all of the other games in the series. So it's not unreasonable to believe that the locations that we've traveled before may be buried underground now. Almost the entire teaser trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 took place in the caves deep below Hyrule Castle, so it's not unreasonable to think that we'll be spending a lot of time down there. We might be able to find a forest temple underneath the Great Deku Tree, or if we get the ability to swim underwater, we could find a water temple down in Lake Hylia. There could be a secret entrance in Death Mountain that leads us to a fire temple, or one of the gravestones in the Kakariko Village graveyard could lead us to a shadow temple. All of these examples are of course inspired by dungeons from Ocarina of Time, but I think it would be really cool to explore reimagined dungeons from this era that have seen thousands and thousands of years of neglect. So it's possible that we could have an entire network of tunnels underneath Hyrule that leads to all of these locations. Or maybe we would see closer to a Skyward Sword approach, where with the overworld there are just a couple sort of access points to the underground. Sort of like when you leave Skyloft, there are 3 different spots where you can reach the surface from. So I don't think I would want the entire game to take place underground because the overworld is just so beautiful and expansive, and I'm really looking forward to see how the Hyruleans have started to take back their lands with the defeat of Calamity Ganon. But I think it would be really cool for at least part of the game to take place underground because it would create a really dark and mysterious tone for the entire game. So that brings us to my third theory for Breath of the Wild, and that's that our main villain is going to be an intelligent version of Ganondorf. Calamity Ganon was a mindless beast. Calamity Ganon was a mindless beast completely fueled by rage, but in the sequel I think we're going to see the exact opposite type of villain. In the trailer we see a mummified figure that I think it's pretty reasonable to assume is Ganondorf. And every time that we've seen Ganondorf in his Gerudo form, he has been a very clever and calculated villain. I think that we're going to see a villain with a lot more personality and a lot more impact on the present story. Calamity Ganon's biggest effects on the story were through flashbacks to 100 years ago during his original attack, and when you beat him at the end of the game. I think and hope that Ganondorf's plan is going to have more of an impact and we'll be able to see it evolve and change the world throughout the story of the game. Also, assuming that we have cutscenes in this game similar to the ones in Breath of the Wild, it's going to be really important that they find a good voice actor for Ganondorf. His voice could honestly make or break how intimidating he is throughout the game. Like the difference between
"Hey guys, how's it hanging?"
versus
"I will destroy you all."
I really like having an intelligent villain with a well thought out plan, and I think that this change would really make this game feel drastically different than the previous one. I'm just so interested to see how Ganondorf is going to rise again and see what his plan is to conquer Hyrule this time. So those are 3 of my theories about major gameplay elements that we'll see in Breath of the Wild 2. What did you think about my theories, and did you have any that I might not have thought of? Please let me know in the comments down below because I would love to talk with you guys about them. Also, if you want to support the content that I'm making here, go ahead and leave this video a like. It's totally free for you and it means a ton to me. And if you want to see more videos like these every single Wednesday, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you'll see when I upload. Oh, and if you're into D&D, I play on a live stream every Friday night, so I'll have the links for that down in the description below. Also, guys, we hit 100 subscribers on this channel this week. That's insane. I don't even know what to say. I never thought that I would get this far, to be honest. This is crazy. Well, thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. I'm speechless. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!